Hi, so today I want to talk about how to be healthy despite difficult and dysfunctional family relationships. And so, we all have someone that we might put in this category that there's some tension, maybe there's some drama, you dread calling them on the phone, or you feel anxious about seeing them at the holidays because of the tension that exists. So I want you to picture that person in your mind, and if you can, even pull out some pen and paper, because I'm going to give you some really practical things to work through to prepare yourself to show up better in this relationship. So number one is identify the gap. And by that I mean the gap between the way you wish it was and the way that it is. The things that you feel this relationship lacks. So for example, say you wish you had the dad who was a hard worker, but yet showed up to all your football games or dance recitals. And instead, you had the dad who worked too hard or didn't care or just for whatever reason was never there. Say you wish you had a dad who would have verbally affirmed you and helped you to really understand your worth and your value. And instead, you had a dad who wasn't good at that stuff. Or maybe even a dad who was judgmental of you and always told you what you were doing wrong. Those kinds of things are what I'm talking about when I say the gap. The things you longed for or wished for, things you might not have even articulated yet, but they're there. What you wish the relationship was like, what you picture that perfect father-daughter or father-son or mother-daughter, brother-sister relationship being like, and what it actually is. So I want to help you out by giving you some examples of common things that are in people's gaps. And this isn't going to be everything, but a lot of things kind of fall into these buckets. And the first is the inability to be honest. So with some family members, we feel like we cannot be honest and authentic because in some way they're going to punish us. Now, sometimes this is about you, that you feel insecure, you're not honest and authentic because you fear it, and there's no evidence to show you that they're really going to show up that way. But other times, like we've tried and we've made effort, and repeatedly we have gotten these responses that now lead us to this place to say, I can't be honest with this person. And when I say punish, I'm talking about, some people lash out in anger. Some people shut down or withdraw. Some are passive aggressive. Some gaslight or blame shift. No, that's not a problem. You're the problem, right? Some make themselves the victim. Some make everything all about them, and they don't really want to hear what you have to say. So all of those fall within what I would call kind of punishing relational behaviors. And then this leads into the second thing, which is the inability to trust. So in addition to the things that would cause us to feel like we can't be honest, I would kind of add to this that sometimes our family members gossip about us. We share something and they use it against us, or they tell other family members and they kind of triangulate. Another thing that I think erodes trust is when you're consistently showing up for someone, you're serving, maybe you're helping them move, you're babysitting their kids, and you're hoping that they are going to reciprocate, and they never do, or they drop the ball. Those are some of the things that make us feel like, well, gosh, this is not a person I can trust because I can't count on them. Another thing in your gap might be lack of relational intimacy. So maybe you wish that you could talk to that person about who you really are, deep things on your heart or mind, to have deep conversations. And maybe you try to direct things that way and they change the subject, or they shut it down, or they do one of those punishing behaviors, right? Maybe they minimize how you feel. Oh, you just need to get over it. And they give you some, little flippant remark that discounts what you're thinking or feeling. Maybe you ask for advice, and instead what you get is a judgmental attitude from them. Sometimes in the gap of relational intimacy is also physical affection. Maybe we wish that we could hug, or we could say, I love you, and that person doesn't know what to do with that or how to receive that. And so there's that lack of the relational intimacy that we might long for. And then the last thing I'll talk about is kind of a broader, bigger bucket, and that is problems that can't be changed. And so in this, I would put things like a person's addiction, a mental illness, a physical illness, woundedness that they carry from their past that they haven't really dealt with, or even our past together relationally that maybe we've dealt with but they haven't. Sometimes bad habits that they have can fall into this. And I'm going to grant as a counselor that when I say problems that can't be changed, most of these things actually can be improved upon, maybe even changed. But what I'm really talking about is that they can't be changed by you, that only that person can change those things. Only they can take ownership of their addiction, right? Or of their unresolved trauma. And sometimes we struggle in the relationship because we're pushing and striving. We're thinking, if only I did this, or if only I did that, or if I could say the right thing, or if I came to them in this way, then maybe that would affect change. And the fact is, it usually doesn't unless they are ready to change. Those are seeds that are not being planted on fertile soil. They're going onto rocky soil, and they're not really making that much of a difference. So identify your gap. And then step 2 is going to be to grieve the gap. So as you're writing and you're articulating what it is, you might just be aware of where you feel anger or where you feel sadness, and you need to kind of express that and release that. Prayer, of course, is always a great way to grieve. I also recommend often that people write a letter to that person. And it's not a letter that you're going to send. It's a letter just for you to express your feelings so you can be completely authentic. Dear mom or dear dad, and express all the emotions that come with that gap so that you can grieve it. And then finally, step 3, once you have identified and grieved your gap, your goal is actually going to be to accept the person for who they are right now, and to accept the relationship for what it is right now. And when we've gotten rid of all the woulda, shoulda, couldas, and we're able to see clearly this is what it is right now, it actually frees us up to begin to love that person better. We begin to be able to say, does loving them actually mean I need more boundaries with them? I need to learn to guard my heart, because when they do this, I do that. I always blow up, or I always get angry, or I'm always striving. Figuring out boundaries that are loving, that are not like punishment, or they're reactive because you got that, negative behavior from them. Now you negatively react. Once you've let go of that and you said, this is what they do, this is what it is, all of a sudden, it doesn't mean you're withdrawing from them, you're cutting them off. It means you're having the wisdom to actually love them well. You can decide how to interact with them in the future in ways that are less hurtful to you, less hurtful for them. But the point is, you release the idea of changing them, and you realize all you can change is you, your own heart, your own mind, your own responses, and ultimately it's going to help you be healthier, and it's going to make that relationship healthy. So I want to end with a scripture. It's found in Luke chapter 6. This is verses 32, 35, and 36. If you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? Even sinners love those who love them. But love your enemies. Do good to them, and lend without expecting to get anything back. Then your reward will be great, and you will be children of the Most High, because He is kind to the ungrateful and to the wicked. Be merciful, just as your Father is merciful.